Well, how's it going, everybody, and welcome to Your Healthy Financial Future. We are a channel that is dedicated to answering specific questions about personal finance so you can live a life of wealth and generosity. My name is David, and I am your host, and today we're going to dive into the slippery slope of auto loans. And we're going to give you two solutions on how you can get out of the car debt cycle. And I promise you, you really can. So stay tuned. In America, we really do love our cars. In fact, car culture is just about everywhere we turn. The auto industry is worth over $1 trillion, and there are brand rivalries and a ton of auto loan debt. Today in America, the average car payment is $761 a month, and Americans are holding $1.5 trillion of auto loan debt collectively. That's about $58,000 on average per household, and that's just insanity. So what we want to do is we want to give you a way to get out of that, basically. We want to plan your escape from auto loan debt so you can go live a life of wealth, generosity, saving, investing, giving. That's just not possible when you have a bunch of consumer debt like auto loan debt rolling around. So let's gain some perspective a little bit on what auto loans actually are doing to you, and then we'll talk about the two steps that we really recommend that you do. It's no secret that cars are expensive. That's a given. Everyone kind of knows that. But it's not just the interest that makes cars expensive, it's also the depreciation hit that you're taking. Most people go out and buy either new cars or cars that are 1 or 2 years old, and they're still receiving some type of depreciation hit year after year that they own the car. So if you're one of those people that goes out and buys a new car, let's say, for $50,000, in 4 years that car is going to be worth $25,000. Congratulations, you lost more than $6,000 a year in depreciation alone, and you paid interest along the way, not to mention wear and tear. So it just doesn't work for you. Debt is really not a good solution for you. It just makes the banks wealthy, is really what it does. So if you can keep that perspective in mind, you can really do some wonderful things with your life. Let me give you this example. If you took that car payment of $761 a month and you dollar cost averaged that into the market, month after month, year after year, decade after decade, you would have $3 million, or very close to it, after 35 years if you got about a 10% return. So that's exactly what your cars are costing you. That's the expense that car is doing to your overall net worth. It's absolutely killing your net worth. And that's why we really wanted to make this video. One of the two methods that we recommend for getting out of debt is to basically just pay aggressively every single month on your car note until it's paid off. And one of the really great ways you can do that is you can sit down and do a little bit of a financial audit of your books and see exactly how much you're spending and start cutting the things that are really in your way, subscriptions, going out to eat, things of that nature. And you'll find that you're able to save a lot of money. When I did this, I saved a few $100s a month just in subscriptions in restaurants and a few lifestyle changes, and it was like, wow, I have an extra $600 here. Pretty cool. And that $600 a month I could put immediately towards the debt that I wanted to pay. So if you know that you're already making a $600 or $700 car payment and you find an extra $600 or $700, that's great. And you want to find as much as you possibly can, an extra $1,000, an extra $2,000 even, and you just aggressively pay on that car until it's gone. Now, I don't recommend that you bite off more than you can chew here, and what I mean by that is that you don't want to sit there and be paying on a car for more than about 18 months to 2 years in this aggressive fashion, because it's really a lot of work to do this and it takes a lot of momentum, and you have to really be pumped up to do it, and eventually you kind of just lose steam. So my recommendation is if you can't pay this car off in about 18 months to 2 years, you probably just need to sell the car. Another way that you can look at it through a different lens is that if the car is worth more than, let's say, about 25% of your annual take-home pay, it also probably needs to be moved along. The second method that we recommend is for you to just move your car along. Now, we know a lot of people who have done this, and I did this myself. I had a beautiful blue Mustang convertible, and I loved that car. I was so happy to have that car, but it was just too expensive for my lifestyle, and it was costing me $600 a month, and I was just like, this isn't worth it. This is robbing me of my financial freedom, and so it's something that I just need to push along, and so I did. Our recommendation is go ahead and go to Kelley Blue Book or a website like it and go ahead and get a little bit of a quote for what the car's worth on a private sale, because you want to go after your private sale number, whatever that is, so you can sell the car for as much dollar value as you possibly can. You don't really want to use a dealer in this case. You don't want to get yourself into that situation, because dealers want to make money on the sale of the car, so they're going to give you less. And you've probably got an auto loan, so you've got to pay that off, and so you're going to want every last cent out of that car that you possibly can get. And hopefully you're not upside down on that car. A lot of people are, but let's hope you're not. Now, if you do find yourself in that situation and you say, hey, I want to sell this car along, the first thing that you need to do is you need to take a pause or a breather here, and you need to start thinking about what your next car is going to be before you sell this first car along. And we at this channel, we call that car a freedom car. You need to go buy a car that's $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000. It's gonna have more than 130, 140, 150,000 miles on it. Probably gonna be a Honda or a Toyota or something like that, but its purpose is to really cut down on your transportation costs for a little while so you can restructure, get out of debt, and ultimately save and invest. And then once you've saved and you've invested, you can go back and you can buy a car with cash if you want to. But you need that freedom car first. And when I did this, I bought a $5,000 Honda Civic. It was a 2006. I loved that car. I was really surprised how much I loved it, because I was coming from something a lot nicer than that, but I really did enjoy it. I had it for 26 months, and I was really sad to see that car go. I only put about 10,000 miles on it in 26 months, and it was my only car, but I truly got immense value out of that vehicle because it just took the financial pressure away from me, and that just made the situation just so much easier. Now, once you see, okay, I'm gonna go get this freedom car, you're gonna need to start looking at your budget and saying, okay, how much can I save each month for this car? Can I save $1,000? Can I save $2,000? Can I save $1,500? And you just pile that up, pile that up, pile that up, pile that up until you have $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, and then you're gonna go buy a car either on Facebook Marketplace or on Craigslist, something like that. The thing that I would tell you though is, before you actually buy the car, you need to have a pre-purchase inspection done. They're not super expensive to do. It doesn't take that long to do. It takes about an hour out of your day, and it's anywhere from $25 to $100 to get it done. But it's peace of mind, because you don't want to drop $5,000 on something that's broken. You really want to just have a car that where you get in, you start it, and it runs. And so that pre-purchase inspection is a really good thing to have. Now, the next thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go back to that car that's your outgoing car, the one that's expensive and the one that you need to sell on, and you're going to want to make some really good images, photographs of that car, maybe even some video. I would not take photos with your iPhone in portrait mode and cover up the license plate. It absolutely infuriates me when I see people do that, and I'm a car guy. And so I was like, why? Why did you do that? It was so much easier to just go out, get yourself a little camera, and take a shot and really make those photos something special. And so what I recommend doing is pick an area in your local community that has a beauty element to it. The aesthetic is really nice. Take a time at dusk and take a good camera out there. You know, it can be a Sony camera. It can be, whatever. You can borrow a friend's really nice camera for an hour and just take 20, 30, 40 really good shots of the car, exterior and interior. Don't forget about shooting all of the wheels and the rims, because if you don't, people are going to assume that they're scuffed, even if they're not. Take good photos of the tires and the tire tread. Show any imperfections in those photos, and so you're upfront and you're honest with them about it. And those photos really have to look good. They have to really sell the emotion of the car and why that car is so fun and so special. Because you really have to move it on for a top dollar. And once you've done that, then you're going to be miles and miles and miles ahead of most of the people that are out there selling on the market anyway. Going out and spending just $100 or $200 on good photos, or doing it yourself and taking really good photos, but don't use your iPhone in portrait mode. Don't cover up the license plate. Don't do all of that. Really make it look like a professional did it, and you're going to get more money for that car. It's just going to bring a higher dollar value. People will look at that and say, wow, that person really does love their car. They really take care of it. And that's something that you really need to think about. Another thing that you need to address is all of the maintenance that really needs to be done on the car before you move it along. The more maintenance you do on that vehicle, the better you're going to get dollar value wise when you sell it on. So if it already has a tune-up and it already has its 30,000 mile service and it already has, XYZ done, you can list that, when you're selling it, saying all these things are already done, taken care of, I have documentation for it, ... Here's some really great photos, here's a really great video of the car. It's just gonna help you sell that car faster, and it's gonna help you sell it for a higher dollar value. That's it. And so a question I get asked a lot is, where do I sell the car? Like, where do I go to get this done? Well, I mean, the obvious ones that are still out there are like Facebook Marketplace. Yes, you can load the car up to Facebook Marketplace. I've sold a car there, a couple cars on Facebook Marketplace without too much effort. You do have to go through a bunch of messages, people that are not really interested or people that really just want to trade. And you're like, no, I really need money to do that, but it's worth it if you need to get the car moved along. But if your car is newer and you think it really has kind of a special edge to it, and it's not just, a typical boring car, then you might want to consider using a tool like Cars and Bids. Cars and Bids is an online auto auction for cars, from the 1980s and up that are cool and interesting and just a little bit special. And so you would submit to Cars and Bids, but there are free listings there, and they would do an auction for 7 days, and you can do a reserve or don't do a reserve and sell that car for some really high dollar values. They actually have a YouTube channel, Cars and Bids does, and I recommend checking them out. It's owned by Doug DeMuro, who does his own car reviews on YouTube. Great guy. I've followed him for years. Cars and Bids is a really nice new kind of solution for selling your vehicle along. But if you don't want to do Cars and Bids and you don't want to do Facebook Marketplace, you could consider doing something like Car Gurus and Auto Trader and all that. Those will probably charge you to post something, especially if you want to post like a dealer does. But it may be worth it if the dollar value that you're looking for the car is really, really, really high. It really all depends on your current situation. What you've got to remember is you don't want to price that car too high. You don't want to go all the way out of the market, but you do want to make sure that you're sort of near the top end so you could have a little bit of room to negotiate. You just want to have a little bit of room to negotiate. So if you know that you need $48,000 for the car, price it at $49,500 or $50,000, and that gives some room for negotiation. It still keeps you within the window that you need to be in order to get out of the situation that you're in. And what that does is it also gives the person that buys the car a little bit of a taste of, hey, I really did negotiate for this. I did my part. I got a little bit of a deal. Hey, that's great. That's wonderful. And everybody really wins. Now, if you're going to sell this car along, these steps are really, really important. It's good to take note of exactly how much this car is worth. It's good to present it in its best light. Fix anything that's broken. Make sure it looks great. Get it into multiple marketplaces if you want. You don't have to just pick one. You could pick multiple ones and get it up there, especially if you are selling something that's really, really expensive. It's worth it to get that burden off of your back month after month after month after month. It's super important that you get out of auto loan debt, but it's also super important that you get out of all consumer debt. Consumer debt absolutely robs you of your choices. It robs you of a healthy financial future. It's just not a good place to be. And the beautiful thing about it is once that auto loan is paid down, paid off, out of your life, taken care of, then you can save, then you can invest, you can have a healthy financial future. But you can also experience generosity. You can make someone else's life better just by making a few good financial choices now. Think about that person down the street, the single mom that can't get her car running because she just doesn't have the money, and so she's bumming rides to work. You could help her fix that car. You could leave a nice tip at a restaurant. You could do a number of things for your local community, food banks, churches, you name it. You could be a completely different person with a completely different financial landscape if you didn't have the debt. And auto loans are a big part of that. So when you get out of auto loan debt, what you're gonna start doing is you're gonna start saving money month after month in what we call a sinking fund. So you can go buy another car in the future, in the not so distant future, that you really like and you really enjoy. And I remember when my family and I were actually able to do that. We bought a Lexus, and I remember thinking, this isn't real. There's no way. I just wrote a check. I wrote a check for a car. I've never been able to do that in my life. I wrote a big boy check, not something that was $3,000. I wrote a big check for a car. How did I do that? And I went back and I looked at it and I realized that it was just about saving, being diligent in my saving and making sure that I didn't have any debt weighing me down. When the debt went away, I could save. And then I was free. So that's where I'm going to leave you today. If you like what you saw here, please like and subscribe. We are a new channel and it really does help us out on the algorithm if you support us. If you have something that you want to share with our audience, leave it in the comments below if you feel like it would help. We absolutely love making videos for you and we thank you so much for watching. And we will see you in the next one.